Now back here is the outside corner of the kitchen. So you'll find, just in behind that wall there is the kitchen. Now we only have to replace a single skin of brickwork on this wall, which is why we're starting here first. It allows us to get the corner back up, which then provides some support to the front portion of that wall before we start grinding and repointing. And it's also quite easy to access. So we already have our scaffolding set up here. That's ready for the spring as soon as the weather allows. We have a little pile of bricks. Now we saved these bricks and they were just kind of let around on the floor here. Now somebody, not us, a previous mason who did some work on the church next door, had believed that this building was going to be demolished. So they used a machine or something to push over a few of the skins of brickwork on the back end of this structure here. Now we'll look at the structure from a different angle, but what you can see here is the back end of it where they pushed it over the machine. So that's where we managed to save a lot of these bricks from, because they were just piled on the floor in a big pile of rubble, and I guess they just picked through what they needed for the building and then they left the rest. Now, as I mentioned earlier, where I said we wouldn't be sure if we had enough bricks, this is where we'll look to save some bricks. So we might use a different brick for those inner skins, and then we might take the final skin there, and then we'll use the heritage brick to finish the end. That way we get to maintain the authenticity of it. Now on this side, we only have one small window in the kitchen and one small window above it. Now that is in the hallway of the stairs that are no longer there. So we'll end up replacing those windows. They were replaced with a vinyl back in the day, and we'll replace those with something more fitting for the building. But yes, this is the corner that we'll be starting work on. So this is the corner you'll see us repair first. And this will also be our sample wall for cleaning and for finishing and for our joints. So once this wall is done, you'll have a real good idea of how the rest of the building is going to turn out. So we'll be starting here first in the spring, and we're quite excited about that. So let me move you around and we'll look at this other structure, which is kind of added onto the building and has its own unique features that I will talk about in just a second. Okay, so here we are on the side of the house. Now this is the right hand side of the house if you're looking at the front. Now what you're seeing here behind me is not only a side entrance that used to be a bathroom, but also behind that is a vault. Now this vault is original to the building, and we actually got into it just the other day. So you'll be able to see that in one of the other videos of where we opened the vault and got into it. It was rusted shut, and you can see in where we were just around the corner a second ago, that's the back of the vault there, and that's where most of those bricks were pushed off of. So on the front of this, we still have a lovely arched door, which I'm really hopeful to restore. And we also have the keystone that's still present. So the front end of this has mostly survived, thankfully. And it just seems to be that they took the brick from the side of the building. So nothing that I can't repair. Like I said, disappointing that they took so much brick and did so much damage to this portion of the house. But it also, because we salvaged so many bricks, it also has allowed us to collect enough bricks to do other areas on the building. So not all bad. And like I say, the original door is there. Now, a lot of it has rotted, but I'm definitely going to make sure that we're able to restore that. And we're going to make that back into an original door and put that back in there. Now, we won't use it as a bathroom again, I don't believe. It'll probably be used as another entrance, but this will be our third entrance. So I'm not sure why we need 3 entrances, or why any house needs more than 3 entrances. But well, I guess this would be the 4th actually. So we have this entrance, the front entrance, the side entrance for the portico, and then there'd be a back entrance for the that goes into the kitchen. So I'm not sure what we'll do with this just yet. For space wise, it's a 12 by 14 room, so it's quite a large room. I recently redid the roof on there, so it was leaking. So what we did was we resheeted this roof, and that just stopped the water getting in for now. We put a membrane over the top, and then we're going to have to do a modified roof on top of this to really keep it sealed, because there's not that much of a slope. Now, this was the other balcony that you'll see in some of the old pictures. So we're going to restore that. And as you can see just at the top there, that's where the old door was. Now, interestingly enough, on the inside, that doorway is no longer visible, but there is a closet. So I believe that you used to have to go through a closet, and then you would then find your way out into this balcony. Now, it had a wood railing before. We're not sure what kind of railing we're going to do for this, but we're going to try to keep it close to the pictures as we can. But obviously, well, our railing will have to be a little higher, because back then they had quite low railings, and we can't have those these days because of codes. But this will be an interesting piece to restore. Now, we're not sure when we'll get to this, but hopefully we'll be getting to it in this coming year. Now, I'm just going to adjust the frame here so that you can see some of the work that was added in the 50s. So right here, you can see these stones that were installed, I believe, in the 50s. Could have been as early as the 30s. Now, these originally would have had wood railings from the old pictures, but the local parishioners gathered these rocks from the beach and from the local fields, and they rebuilt these new railings, and they probably would have been done not so long after the monuments, which I'll show you in another video. When we look at the church and some of those other features and the monuments that we have dotted around, you'll see the same type of stones that were built in the other structures over there. So let's move around to the front now. So last but not least, here we are at the front of this building. Now, as you can see behind me, this is just jaw-droppingly eye-catching. It's what drew me in the first place, and I just couldn't help but be drawn to this beautiful building. Now, it has turrets on both sides. They go all the way down to the basement and extend all the way up to the attic space. They are not accessible from the attic, so those top parts there, you cannot get inside. But they have curved glass windows, some of which have broke, but we're going to try to repair those. But I also wanted to show you some of how they have arches all the way across the top for the windows. So you'll see that there's a room when we look at the inside in each side of these. My favorite room happens to be this one on the left of me. Very nice, very light, very bright, and is actually in miraculously good condition, as are all of these rooms along the front upstairs. So minimal restoration work needs to take place in those, which is excellent news. Now we have a stone artistic work that's been done around the door. We do have the original door that we'll be putting back in, but for now there is a temporary door that's in there. And looking back at some of the pictures, that door has been there from at least the 90s, possibly earlier, just based on the images that I have seen. There used to be a storm door on there that I've seen in some of the older pictures when there was some more vegetation around. Most of that vegetation is now gone, but we do intend to bring some of that back. The actual front entranceway itself also needs a lot of work. The stone has shifted a lot, and it will need a lot of repairs. Also, these brickwork things, these piers, I guess they are, were added to the building, and I'm not so keen on those. They originally would have been wood, but since the parishioners themselves would have built these railings that go between, instead of putting wood back on here, I'm considering getting a same stone that we see in this foundation and making some stone piers that'll go in place of this brick. It'll be much more aesthetically pleasing. It'll match the building, and it'll also allow me to maintain the decorative pieces that the parishioners built themselves. So that is the front of the building. There's a light that used to be above the date stone there, which is beautifully carved, and we're going to tend to find a light that's fitting to put back in there. We'll do something with a pathway here. We'll also maybe add some stone to the deck itself. But this is an area that I'm quite excited to work on, because obviously being the front of the house, it's really going to brighten up once we're finished with it. Now, most of you have seen these videos. I use this for the start of most of my videos and for the finishing of most of the videos, just because it's so pretty and I love it. But I just wanted to take a moment to show you these details that we have in this stonework. Now, this would have all been hand carved, and I am absolutely in love with it. It's quite thick. That would have come out of the date stone itself would have been from a massive block of stone, and they chiseled this all down without breaking it. Well, I'm sure maybe they did break one or two of them, but so this is something that I am super happy about, and actually was the main feature that drew me to the house. Now, being a stonemason, of course I'm naturally drawn to stone, but I was also interested in these crosses that are added on to the either side. They also seem to be come out of a singular piece of stone, so they would have also been quite difficult to make. But the intricacies that you see in some of the stonework is very typical that you'd see in Europe. And being an island in Canada, it was quite amazed to see some of this decorative work. Now, we'll be cleaning a lot of this and restoring it where we can. Hopefully we're going to brighten a lot of this back up. But I just wanted to take a moment to show you a little closer up of the stonework. But that concludes the outside. We will do a video on the inside in the very near future, and I'll show you each room and we'll talk about each one. But I don't want to keep you guys overloaded with information at once. So that is the outside, and this is something that we'll reference back to in the future, especially as we restore. We'll be able to do compare and contrast of some of the stuff that we've done. So thank you for watching the video of the exterior. I hope that you guys are a little more knowledgeable now of some of the stuff that we have to do, and I hope you guys are as excited as I am to get started on this restoration project. It is going to be quite the task, but once this building is done, it is going to be magnificent. So, as always, thank you for watching, and don't work too hard.